Hey YouTube, it's Rachel. Today is Saturday, October 31st. It is officially Halloween. And as you can see, I am still in the hospital. Luckily for me though, I do get discharged today. So I should be out of this lovely, lovely place in the next hour or two. So I just wanted to do a follow-up video for everybody. Just to kind of let you know what's been going on. I know in my last video, I believe I told you that I wasn't able to keep anything down. I was basically throwing everything up that I was taking in, and even though I was only on clear liquids, and I'll kind of show you what that diet consisted of. So here you'll see, sorry, that's my fingers, Jello, or excuse me, the Jello, usually different colors. It's cycled between yellow, red, green, whatever. This is broth that I had every day. This is chicken. It really just tastes like salty water. This is, I thought it was interesting. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a protein supplement. It is a liquid. It's almost, see-through. And honestly, it tastes like liquefied apple jello. And I don't think apple jello exists, but if it did and it was liquid, this is what it would taste like. So it's really not that bad. It was actually pretty good. In addition to that, I would get a cup of coffee in this little container and a cup of hot water if I wanted to make some decaf tea. So that's been my breakfast, lunch, and dinner since I had the surgery. It's the same thing every day. The only variation is the color of the Jello. So that's pretty much been it. The first couple of days, like I said, I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't keep anything down. So because of that, they were concerned that I might have a blockage. So they took me down to have an upper GI done. That came back fine. There was no blockage. Everything was going through well. I had some swelling because of the fact that I had previously had lap band surgery. So there was a lot of scar tissue and things like that. So he had to do a little bit more work to remove all the scar tissue. So there was some swelling in there, and they were able to see that on the upper GI. But other than that, there were no issues. So what they ended up doing is they ended up having to put a PICC line in, which is similar to a central line, if anybody's familiar with that, because what was happening is because I wasn't able to keep anything down, I got massively dehydrated. And because I got dehydrated, my vein blew that had my IV in it. So they tried to give me an additional IV. And I believe they stuck me like 2 or 3 times and weren't able to get anything. So then they had to call, and I forget exactly what this person's name or what exactly the device is, but it's basically a vein ultrasound where they bring this machine in, and it's this wand with this red light, and when they place it on your skin, it highlights the veins, so you can actually see the different veins in your body. So they brought that in, and she stuck me, I want to say 3 times, even with that machine, before she was actually able to find a viable vein. That just goes to show you like how small and dehydrated my veins were, and the fact that they kept blowing. Like every time she would stick the needle in, the IV in, it would pop or move away. So she was able to, so they did that. She was finally able to get a vein over here, and you can see like I'm all bruised up from it. So that's where she eventually got the IV in. And look, I don't know if you can see this one, but I have like a bruise here too. From when they tried to stick me. And then I have a bruise here from where they tried to stick me. And I don't have any more, but I'm sure I'll have more as the time goes on. So she finally got it in, and that IV lasted half a day, about, before it started leaking. So then, because of that, because the IV started leaking, they couldn't use it anymore. So they finally said, when my doctor came in to see me that morning, he was like, look, you're not keeping anything down. This was Wednesday, and I was supposed to be going home, Thursday, and I was supposed to be going home that day. And he was like, you haven't kept anything down in the last 2 days. You're dehydrated. All these things are going on, with your IVs and stuff like that. So we want to keep you an additional day. But in addition to that, we want to give you TPN, which is basically nutrition that they give to you through an IV. So he was like, we'll insert the PICC line, whatever, and get you on TPN, and if you can tolerate that, like once you can tolerate, we'll give you the TPN to basically get you some nutrition, but you still have to try to eat and drink. And then once you can tolerate food, then we can go ahead and let you go. So that's kind of how that went. So that afternoon, or later that morning, they came in and they installed the TPN, or excuse me, they installed the PICC line. For anybody who's never had a PICC line or a central line, let me tell you, it is a whole surgical procedure. They came into the room, they not quarantined the room, but they had to make it a sterile environment. So nobody was allowed to come in or out of the room. I was draped in sterile dressings, and they brought like this table in that I could because I had to lay my arm like flat out so they could do it. All the nurses or the doctor, I think they were all nurses, they all had on like, surgical scrubs, the masks, like all of that. Like it was a very sterile environment. So she, again, the same vein ultrasound machine they came in with, and it took her two tries to get it inserted. Now, again, for anybody who's never had a PICC line or a central line, let me just tell you, you don't want to get stuck more than once with this thing. It is like an IV, but there is this really, really long lead wire that basically goes from wherever the PICC line is into your chest cavity. So it has to come all the way through. So it's a long, and I believe mine was 42 centimeters. And it doesn't sound like much, but it's a pretty good size. So I'm going to show you my PICC line. So this is my PICC line. Okay. So there's two connectors. The connector that has the pink kind of band around it is basically where my TPN went. So wherever your TPN goes, your nutrition, you can't have anything else go in there. No flush fluid, no medicine, nothing can go in that line. The other line, the red one, is where they put in all my medicine, my fluids, everything else that I needed. So, and then this is it all taped down. You can see underneath there's going to be a nice, beautiful bruise. So that's that. So, and then this is, they took away my TPN. I can't show it to you because they've already disconnected most of my stuff so I can go home. But the TPN is basically this big, giant bag of white fluid. It looks like milk, and it's full of like carbs and sugars and amino acids and proteins and lipids and all this stuff. And I was a little concerned because I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I may be the only one on the face of the earth that asked this question. But I asked her, I said, okay, how many calories are in that thing? How many carbs? How much sugar? Like, can I really have this? Because, I'm not supposed to be having sugar. I'm not supposed to be having carbs. And so she laughed at me, of course, and was like, okay, first of all, we need to make sure you're getting some kind of nutrition. So we're not going to worry about that right now. But I was like mortified when I found out like the bag is like 1,100 calories. So I don't know. We'll see how that worked on my body. But so that was that. And I was on the TPN Thursday evening. And I just got off of it this morning, so it's Saturday morning. It's actually Saturday afternoon, but I just got off of it probably about an hour ago. So it was this afternoon. So that was that. So I had to stay in the hospital until I could get stuff down. So yesterday was the first day where I was actually able, that food I showed you on this tray, where I was actually able to get down a whole tray without throwing it back up, without it getting, without being nauseous and getting sick. So that was good. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to show you kind of my stomach so you can see. I do have a drain, so I don't want you to get freaked out, but it is kind of nasty. I go in to see my doctor on Wednesday, and at that time they wanted me to leave with the drain and with the PICC line, because they want to make sure that I can still continue to hold down the food, the fluids that I'm taking in, because if I can't and I end up back in the hospital, they would have to reinstall a PICC line. So he's like, why don't you just keep it in for a couple days, see how you do, because there's no point in us having to do this all over again. So I'm like, okay, fine. And then the drain, again, they'll take that on a Wednesday when I go in, because he wants to make sure that I'm not continuously draining fluids. So I'll show you my stomachs just so you can kind of see where my incisions were. They're not bad. None of them hurt. They never hurt from the day I kind of got out of the operation till now. They've never really hurt. There's only one that kind of hurts, and that's where the drain is, because it's still open. It's not like a closed incision yet. So I'll show you those. So this is my belly. You see I have 5 incisions, okay? These 4 pretty much line up above my belly button, and then this one up here. Now this is where the drain is coming out of, all right? And so it drains in, and I kind of have it tucked into my pants, but it drains into, if you don't want to see this, turn away now, but it drains into this little tube. So, you know, it looks like juice, but it's not. It's like fluid, bloody fluid or whatever. So I just stick it there because I don't want it hanging. It's kind of uncomfortable if it's just left hanging. So that's where it is. So additionally to that, I have been having the most tremendous back pain and chest pain. It hurts when I breathe. Yeah, like when I take deep breaths, like that is kind of painful. It hurts if I lay in a certain position or if I sit in a certain position for too long. The back pain alone will wake me up at night. Like I have literally, in the 4 days that I've been here, 4 or 5 days that I've been here, I've gotten the longest stretch of constant sleep I've gotten is about 3.5 hours. I'm constantly waking up.